West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. And this one's a special one. We've had quite a few people say to us on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, in 2025, we want to see more interviews or discussions with key stakeholders, key individuals within cricket, within the region. And Santoki and I have spoken about that. We've kind of put together a wish list of people that we could talk to, whether on the pitch, off the pitch, etc. And in the recent days, it occurred to me, hold on a minute. Hold on, there's been a lot written about and spoken about the fact that 7 of our kind of young players had recently gone to India to take part in a special camp. Ramesh Subasinghe, the academy head coach, had gone with them. So those players were Akeem or Geese, Teddy Bishop, Kurt McKenzie, Jordan Johnson, Jewel Andrew, Matthew Nandu, and I think Kevin Wickham. I think those were the 7 who went out there to work on their skill set out in India as part of the Chennai Super Kings setup. And there's been quite a lot. We reported about it. There's been quite a lot written. ESPN picked it up. Quite a lot written about it. And I think it was laudable that this is some of the stuff that we want to see. As I think as a fan base, forget media now, as a fan base, we want to see the next generation, whoever that may be, whoever is identified, getting that experience and opportunity to develop their skill set, not just within the region, but outside of the region. And me personally, I can only speak for myself. I'm all for players getting exposure to different conditions, different experiences sooner rather than later, because I just feel like it helps their wider development and it helps them to pick up skills that they will ultimately need. And it's better they get them now than have to learn on the job when some of those players that I've just named because all those players I've just named, I mean, Kirk's already played international cricket. Jules already been part of an ODI squad. All of those players I've named, I am expecting that at some point in their career, they will go on to represent the West Indies in whatever format of the game. So it's important that they get this kind of exposure early doors. So anyways, I reached out to Ramesh and I said, you know what, Ramesh, we last spoke when Ramesh just got the job pretty much. I flew over to Ireland to watch the academy side actually play what effectively turned out to be the full Ireland team. But I flew out to Ireland. Ramesh was there. Some of the players and their families were there, and a few of the CCP community came over to just kind of watch the youngsters play against Ireland, and that was a great experience to watch live. And Ramesh and I caught up there. I'm sure some of you have seen the conversation I had with Ramesh in Ireland. It's been pretty much 6 months since then. And I got in touch with Ramesh and said, you know what, let's catch up again. Let's see how things have been going on. And I think so many of our listeners want to hear about developmental pathways, progress of the youngsters in the region. So Ramesh has kindly given up some of his time. I'm going to bring him on the show, and we're just going to talk about academy cricket, developmental cricket, and everything else in between. So without any further ado, let me bring Ramesh Subasinghe on the show. Yes, Ramesh, how you doing?
Very good, Michael. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
It's been a while.
No problem.
It's been a while.
It has. Do you know what? It feels like it was when I was just saying that now, it's like it was only 6 months ago, but it feels like it's been a much longer period of time. Listen, you've just, like I said at the top of the show, you've just come back from India with the youngsters. But before we get into that, we can touch on that obviously very, very soon. When you try and take stock now with Christmas coming up and a bit of time, hopefully, for you to kind of just, not think about the cricket for a bit and just have some like family time and relaxation, how have you found your first 7 months in the role, and what kind of things have you, now you're embedded properly within the region, what kind of things have you picked up on that you're excited about, that you have identified as we need to work on this, there's some areas for development here and there, etc.? What's your reflections 7 months in?
It's been a really good 7 months. I've really enjoyed meeting a lot of people, visiting the islands. Like there's so much things that here that was quite new to me, and then like I got the experience. Like I recently had my first domestic tournament with the academy. I've got the chance to work with the senior team. I also work with the A team. Been to St. Vincent to watch the under 19 tournament, and we did a lot of camps in different parts of uh, the West Indies. I haven't still been to Jamaica and Guyana, but apart from that, I've covered most of the islands, which is a really good thing. I've learned, and I'm still learning the Caribbean culture and the subcultures with it. So what I've noticed is that everywhere it's different. So the how people take information and how people live their life is a bit different. To every
Mm.
island got its unique ways. So just learning all that as well, and I've now, like I've seen the current situation of domestically what's going on, and I've also taken notes on what is going well and what could be developed and what is not there that we could potentially add. So I've got a good idea now to build on that information, the knowledge that I've gained to have a really good 2025.
Without giving away all the kind of secrets, because I'm sure some stuff has to be kind of kept behind closed doors, but what are some of the key takeaways that you're like, because everyone always says about the Caribbean, the talent is there, the raw talent is there. As somebody who's come in, new eyes completely to the system, what are some of the things that you've picked up on and gone, you know what, that is really good, and if it's tweaked ever so slightly, it has the potential to become better or great or whatever. And what are some of the things that you're like, we really need to try and upskill there or upgrade there, and or try and find a way around that particular barrier to improve things there?
Yeah, like look, as you've said, and as we all know, the talent is there, but then how can we turn that talent into skilled players is going to be the challenge. And like for me, a talent is your God-given things, that comes naturally to you. And but then skill play is someone who can adapt to the needs of the team, to win games, and to the conditions, to the opponent, and so then they can adapt their skills, adapt their talent into those situations. So then, and then to have consistency. So these things we need to build. So the talent needs to be converted into the skilled players who's going to win cricket matches for West Indies. So a couple of things that probably will be thinking around: fitness will be the first one. So we need to put a lot of emphasis on improving our fitness as a nation. When I compare some of the numbers in other countries, other successful nations in the world, and then we try to compare what we have here, yes, there are a lot of areas that we could improve on, and we are putting a lot of time and effort into improving the fitness standards of our players. So like it's quite obvious that we've done really well recently in our 50 over cricket, and we're still trying to do well in our test cricket as well. But then to play those longer formats, fitness comes is a major thing that we need to have. So we are putting a lot of resources and time and effort into that now, especially at a younger age. If we can build good foundations and make fitness a habit, an like an obsession, I think by the time they graduate into senior level, they've already got a really good foundations to build on, to extend on. So that will be one, and then a targeted approach to who we want to develop as well. It's important, especially from a West Indies point of view. I know that there are uh, the own territorial boards and their talent development systems as well. But as West Indies, if we can be really targeted, that in the short term, especially that we try to make our best players better. So that is something that we are working on. And so with the academy, I also see like we've got a playing program. We've got 15 contracted players, but I do see a greater responsibility of the academy to uh, to support the development of our other players as well. So that's like this Indian initiative was one of them. So if you look at, we've only got 2 contracted academy players, but the other 5 are from the franchises. So it's our commitment to grow these young men as well. Not just young men. If, the camps we are going to have in January here, we will have a batting camp and a spin bowling camp. We're getting specialized coaches from India and England to conduct this, and then there is no age limit if they are in a targeted group of West Indies cricket, like succession planning or depth charts. We can invite them to upskill them as part of the academy's greater responsibility to develop players for West Indies. So that and then we are putting, with the academy, we are putting a like a holistic program in place. So we at the academy we have a full-time SNC and a physio and an assistant coach, full-time based in Antigua, alongside me. And then we also have a player well-being manager as well, that will look after the mental skills side of it, and the personal like well-being of the players. So some of the character and lifestyle improvements that they need to do, that person will be in charge of, together with try to build an identity outside sport for our guys here at the academy as well. So which could be while they're playing, plus when they have retired at some day, that they have something to go to as well. So we're trying to uh, do all that here at the academy now.
Some of that. Do you know what? As you were saying that, there's so many different things I want to go off on a tangent on. Let's just talk about the academy though, because obviously this year it was announced that this year's cohort of the academy are actually based full time in Antigua, which in previous years, I think the academy boys have been in Antigua for periods of time, then back to their territory, then back to Antigua, and so on and so forth. Just unpicking that slightly, because I'm sure you would have had some discussions around that as well. It seems obvious to say what are the benefits of having them there full time, but so rather than focus on that, how does a full-time academy work on a kind of week to week, month to month setting now that they're there in Antigua all the time? Because I guess what I'm getting at is, can you run the risk of too much cricket or too much do you get where I'm coming from, like load management and all those kind of things? How does it work practically on a month to month basis?
No, that's a great question, Michael. And that was something that when we first started in October, that players had to get used to, because they have come from not a system like that, a full time. All of a sudden, they've come here and they had to experience that they're training. They've trained about 4 times a week, but they also got their gym sessions planned with the trainer. They've got their like personal development sessions. So it was kind of like probably a little bit overwhelming for them at the start, but now they're they're getting used to it, which is normal. So it was definitely a change, probably a shock to some players that coming from probably some areas that they've had nothing. So all of a sudden to be introduced to a structured program was getting they had to get used to that. So we've acknowledged that as well. So but now from the signs that since we've come back from uh, the Super 50, the boys have now come into realization. Okay, this is how it could look like for us. So, but nothing's stopping. Like we do provide them now for like at the moment they are in their local islands.
Yeah.
So like in terms of training, yes, we're trying to if you think of skill wise, we're trying to train at least 4 times a week of a 7-day period, and then bowling loading wise, we will look after their loading for sure, and they will also have their personal development workshops while this going on, and then they'll have their gym sessions with our trainer. So everything is very well planned and structured. And put it this way, Michael, it's like going into university. So, but the only good thing for the players now is that they're actually paid well to train, and they're paid to learn at the academy. So they're getting this free education at the moment to fulfill their potential as cricketers and people. So it's a cricketing university. That's how Mr. Enoch Lewis actually put it like that in their induction, that this is your university, and actually they're getting paid to learn. Yeah.
Right. And then just pivoting back to something you said about fitness. And the reason why I'm asking the question on fitness is because what is cricket fitness? Because there's so much debate, and maybe it does vary from sport to sport, but to you, not just in the academy context, I'm actually just talking in a cricket coaching context. What does cricket fitness look like, or what should it look like?
Yeah. So like I'll give you like an example. Like if you think of, right, we are very well known to clear the boundaries, right? We've got more power than most of the cricketing nations in the world. But if you think of from a scale 1 to 10, where this player could be at his optimal level, how many players that you think that they are at 10, that this is the best they could be? And then if they are at that best fitness level, the physical level, how much output they will give to West Indies cricket. So that's what, like, one thing that optimizing their potential through fitness, right? So and like fitness is a big part even in batting. A tired body is a tired mind. So you do mistakes. Again, we talk about batting for long periods of time, playing the long formats. So fitness can definitely have a impact on it. And if you think of a fast bowler, can he bowl 3 to 4 spells in a day, but still hold his pace? So those things are very important. Even like for a fielder, can he keep his concentration for the whole 90 overs of the day? So all these things, fitness is a major driver for that. So like as I said to you earlier, when you look at the world standards of some of the most successful nations in the world at the moment, and us, I think to maximize the talent we have, if we add the extremely fit athletes as well, I think that our results will show good improvements.
I hear you. Out of interest, because I read in one of the articles, it may have been the ESPN article, I'm not sure. It spoke about how when you were out in India, when they had some of their match sessions or scenarios, I swear in the article it said something like, so the West Indian boys had to bat. They were made to bat, like, was it like 100 and something overs, or so? I swear I read something like that. I'm assuming that was deliberate. Just tell, and if I've got that right, and that's not fake news reporting, what was the thinking? Was that part of, was that a fitness strategy, or was that more about dealing with the kind of mental aspect of batting in those conditions? What was the strategy and thinking behind all that?
I mean, a bit of both, Michael. Like, if you think about it, to bat in that heat for a day,
Mm,
you can't be unfit and doing that.
yeah.
If you think about it. So, but those some of the especially the 2 day game was we wanted to play a red ball game, and in that red ball game, yes, we got 2 batting days. So our idea was to bat the whole day. So, but we managed to bat about 160 overs in those 2 days,
Mm,
and there were some really good performances from our lads in conditions that were challenging. So they faced a lot of spin in that 2 day game, and different varieties as well that I've never seen it in Caribbean. The
mm,
sheer the variety of the attacks we've had, and then like even in training, we train in the morning and we train in the afternoon as well. Our boys got forearm cramps,
mm,
so they were cramping up in their forearms because they're not used to batting for that long.
mm,
So,
mm.
we've had a lot of really good volume and good
Yeah.
specific volume as well. That in terms of the developmental needs. So, so we played that, and then we played a 50 over game as well. And we were going to play 2 50 overs and one T20. But at the end, there was some weather. There was a day that had to be like it was washed out,
Mm,
and then we were gonna fly next day as well after a game. So we had to. We played 2 T20 games.
mm,
So we played a 2 day game, 150 over and 2 T20 games. So it was, and then we had about seven training days as well,
mm.
and 3 of those days were full days.
Yeah.
So we've only had two rest days, and the boys were really engaged and wanting more as well, which was a really good thing.
Mm.
So I could easily say that we've maximized the investment that we went there with, in terms of what we wanted to achieve. We've got a lot of volume, a lot of new knowledge, a lot of different new methods as well, that will hopefully help our boys going forward.
So you mentioned earlier on that 2 of the 7 who went out there are currently contracted to the academy, and that's Akeem and Teddy. And
Yeah.
it's worth mentioning. So this year's Super 50, um, a few. I said to you before we started recording that this was probably the most inexperienced academy squad. Obviously the academy by nature is going to be inexperienced, but you had quite a lot of young, inexperienced players in this year's Super 50. If I just look through the squads, I'm call some names like Michael Palmer. Obviously, Jediah Blades just played for West Indies in one of those ODIs just gone. Justin Jagassar, Andrew Rambaran, Renico Smith, Nimar Bolden, Zishan Matara. A lot of these players haven't even really played at the first class level, and even the ones that have, they haven't got that many games behind them. And then there was injuries. Nathan Edward picked up an injury, and he's obviously an exciting talent out from the under-19 World Cup. So what was it like to go through a Super 50 with really what was a genuinely inexperienced squad, playing against obviously the established franchise teams in the tournament, and what was some of the kind of learning experience they they got from that and that you picked up about where their games are at? And actually, I should ask the question. I was about to say, does it matter if you won or not? But like, where was your thinking at in terms of the developmental process for them versus winning in the competition and so on and so forth?
So, like, it was always very process driven. Our approach was always process driven, and you're right. Well, I checked the numbers in the first game where Leavids, when we played Leavids had 450 or something like that caps, where we had 104, but then close to 50 is Joshua Bishop. So all other 10 is, it's a quite a young team, and it's picked with a purpose as well, that thinking of the long-term development of the player. So we, I would say, like, every game the plan is to win, yes, but then we are learning to win, right? So it's like, we want to win. That's a wish. So, but then we were more focused on the process that might help us to get a win. But if you look at our bowling stats are right next to anyone who has done well in that tournament. We've had Joshua Bishop probably was the most economical bowler. We've had a young leggy, Sishan Mutara, who bowled his first year as an 18-year-old at first class cricket, at domestic cricket. He didn't take a lot of wickets, but his economy was 4.1 or 4.2. So our bowlers, we bowl sides out as well. So batting, we knew that it was always going to be our greatest challenge going into it, because we are quite young and inexperienced. So, but then I'm very optimistic with the learnings the boys took every game, and how they're reflected. Our coach, batting coach at the academy, Rohan Nurse, is doing really great work with the boys around that. So at the moment, we are helping them to understand what could a good game plan could look like, and how you can based on your strengths, how can you develop a good game plan, things like that. And while we are trying to add strengths into their game in terms of training, but I see it as at the moment it's a 12-month program for these boys. So that was only the 7th week that we finished Super 50. So I see it as quite encouraging what we see in terms of the learning attitude and thirst for hard work from the boys. So going forward, I think we will be in a better position to make an assumption close to their 12-month time. And you got to understand, some of them are 18 and 19, so they're still learning the game a lot, like A's and B's. Some of them are. So, but if you think of the talent, very excited about the talent. And if you look at Super 50, Michael, you would have noticed the people who have done consistently well are 27, 28, 29, 30-year-olds. Right?
Yeah.
So if you think of the academy players that at 18 they're playing that level, and if we can, in 3 to 4 years, if we can get that with the right program, if we can get them into that level of a 28 domestic player in West Indies, so then he might be ready to be successful after 4 years of domestic cricket. He might be showing really good signs to play for West Indies. So where he would probably have 3 years of good development playing at the highest level, because it's always going to be a big step up. And then by the time they're 25, they could be like proven, they could actually mature at 25
Instead
rather
of
than at the
28, 29,
moment. Yes, and then they can give us 10 years. for West Indies. So if you think about it, like the best nations in the world at the moment who are successful, you will see their players mature at probably 25, whereas the other nations you will see their best years are at 28, 29.
Mm, mm.
So that's kind of like a purpose that what we can do with the academy with the right program. So we've gone young purposely,
Okay.
and then with the intention of developing these guys into that level. So
Just
so yeah,
sorry, just to pick one of them out.
yeah,
So obviously we saw Jediah Blades play a game against Bangladesh in the ODI. Series had already been won, so he played the final game. We
yeah,
don't have many left arm seamers in the region. I think you've got Obed McCoy, who obviously plays T20s. Actually, Nathan Edward is one, but obviously he got injured. And then you've got Blades, who had played 3 or 4 games for I think CCC earlier in the year, maybe in the 4-day championship, and then obviously has now gotten an academy contract. I'm not here to ask you about whether Blade should be playing international cricket. That's not my point. More just for those who, because for many in the region, him playing that game against Bangladesh would be the first time they would ever have seen him. If they don't really pay attention to what goes on in regional cricket, what is it about his skill set that makes him a potentially exciting prospect?
I would say with Jediah, the first thing is his growth mindset.
Mm,
He's from in a short period of short space, he's made some significant progress. You've seen a little bit of that in the in the Super 50, where he was one of the leading bowlers in that. So Jediah's skill was like he can move the ball. He can
mm,
move the ball, especially he can bend the ball back into the right-handers, and which he took a lot of wickets with in the Super 50, which is something that as a system I think we are looking for. Be opening bowlers who could swing the ball.
mm,
And then I know he didn't have the best game in his debut, but I was excited to see that he was bowling some balls were at 138, 139.
mm,
So if you think about that, we have someone with the right program who can bowl mid to late 130s and swinging the ball. I think that he will be a great asset when he fully develops. So
mm,
this is actually a great opportunity that Coach Sammy and his team has provided Jediah. So with the Jediah's mindset, I know it's only going to make him better because he will take all the learnings he's taken from that game and the environment, and I'm sure he was going to work as hard as he can, so the next time when he gets an opportunity that he's got all the options.
mm. And then finally, and thank you so much, Ramesh, as ever, for giving up your time. Finally, just to give an insight into 2025. Obviously, I'm assuming that there'll be an academy team in the first class championship,
Yeah,
along with everyone else. So we know that that's immediately coming up in the kind of short
yeah.
term for January, February, March, April-ish. But in general, for the academy, you made reference earlier on to spin camps. And the coaches or one of the coaches in India is coming over here. But in general, what's the mapping of the year looking like?
So yes, we have the camp, but that's not necessarily for the academy alone. So
Mm,
it's for the whole system. So we have identified about 30 players that it was going to come as batters, 15 as batters and 15 as keepers.
mm,
Sorry, as spinners. And so for the academy, we will have training going on for the month of January, and then we will have the 4-day championship. Then there is a tour planned against Sri Lanka at home.
okay.
So Sri
What
Lanka is
for
coming
the
here,
for the academy team?
yes, for the academy
Okay.
team. And there is South Africa A tour as well, straight after the straight. No, it's in May actually. So
Mm,
it's in May. It's again another home tour, so which I would expect a few of our boys could be potentially in there.
mm,
And and then we do have the junior CPL as well that you would have seen.
Yeah.
And then at the moment we are working on a way to to uh, I can't actually at the moment disclose to you where it
I was
is,
going to
but we
say,
are
when
working.
you were talking,
Yeah,
I was like, you can't tell me this.
yeah. So we are working on a away tour.
Mm,
So that could be A/academy
yeah.
setup, or it could be academy. So not sure at the moment, but there is plenty of cricket for these guys coming up.
Listen, fine. I did say final one, but just literally the final one. Because I think sometimes people get, and maybe rightly so, and I just want your coach's take on it. People look at the academy. So we've got the Red Bull Championship coming up in early next year, and people look at the academy and they'll look for numbers, right? So, for example, Blades did really well in Super 50 and stood out. I think he took 14 wickets, and obviously his performances in terms, as you said, moving the ball, so he would have stood out. But as a coach, and I guess particularly at the youth level, yes, you're looking for numbers. So you want your batters to score some 50s and potentially score some centuries. But is it bigger than the numbers? Do you get where I'm coming from? Because as fans, we'll be like, oh, Teddy Bishop just scored, I don't know, 75 against Jamaica. Maybe he's one for the future. But as a coach, are you that invested in what the raw score is, or are there other things that you're really looking out for within the context of these matches?
If I be honest, like for me, it's the skill. So
Mm,
if our program can improve the skill of the player, uh, the outcome will be the numbers that you're talking
right.
about.
Mm,
So we are more focused on identifying. We've already identified the areas that we need to work with our boys, and then if we can see small growth in all these areas, I think as a youth coach, especially, I'm really pleased with. Because like as a youth coach, it's not necessarily the W that you need to be thinking of. It's about the small wins. You got to appreciate and cherish the small wins.
mm,
So for someone who's never scored a 50, always scored a lot of 30s, and now he's scoring 50s, it's a good win. Someone who's never batted a session, now we get someone to bat a session, and then hopefully we can build it onto two sessions.
mm, mm,
So those things matters in young players. How do you define success as?
mm.
So when everything comes together, like then the outcome will take care of itself. So we are more focused on uh, learning and development. So but I do know with the talent some of our boys have in the academy, that with the right work ethic, I think yeah, we will be very competitive against anyone. So but then it's very important that we think of from a more developmental lens than judge the youngest team in West Indies on wins
Yes.
or
Yeah.
numbers. So that's and it's not actually even good, Michael. Like last year, Academy beat two franchises in 4-day
Yes.
cricket. So what does that tell you about the other teams then? You
Mm,
know,
yeah.
so that's kind of like for me and our academy staff. It's always about their development. If we're seeing good development from our players, we know. Sometimes it might lead into good results in
Yeah.
a game wise. Yeah.
Most definitely. Listen, Ramesh, thank you so much for coming on. And for those obviously who've listened to this, are listening to this, etc., go on to listen to this. This is valuable. This is valuable stuff to just again keep everybody who's vested in West Indies cricket just in the loop as to what's going on. We wish you well. for 2025 and the rest of 2024. And as I'm sure you know, myself and Santoki, we'll be watching the Red Bull Championship and everything that goes on. So all the best in rest of 2024 and into 2025.
Yeah. Thank you for your support, Michael. Appreciate it.
No problem whatsoever. Listen, ladies and gents, I'm going to take Ramesh off the screen now. Ladies and gents, that's been Ramesh Subasinghe. I hope that's been a really instructive episode for you all in terms of finding out about the academy and the last 7 months and the year ahead and so on and so forth. Hope Ramesh has dropped some gems there in terms of all of us, sorry, not you, all of us understanding processes of development, etc. So as ever, people, like, share, subscribe, Caribbean Cricket Podcast, share the video. These are the type of episodes that we love the most because it's not our opinions, it's about hearing about what's going on in West Indies cricket. So do share it with people who really love the cricket in the region. And there'll be more content before the year is out. We've got the award show for 2024 coming up. So look out for that. We ain't done yet for 2024. But thank you as ever, people, for listening to Caribbean Cricket Podcast. And we'll be back very, very
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.